Man, I think the biggest question in the Pac-12 right now is, do they have enough football? Do they have enough football? And you look at this group of universities, and I think right now you do not have enough football. And that is the number one question that I have is, what's the next football brand that you're going to add? Because this group of teams here, while solid, is not enough football. And you look at, obviously, Gonzaga does not play football. San Diego State has been down in football. Boise State is inarguably your best football brand. And then Utah State, Fresno State, and Colorado State, are those really needle movers when it comes to football? I would tell you they're not. And I think that's my single biggest question. And then when you flip over and you look at the Mountain West and you say to yourself, okay, well, you added UTEP. Is UTEP somehow a world beater? They're not. They have not been good in recent times. But you understand that move, much like you understand the Gonzaga move, because it gives you a real win in college basketball. But you look at Air Force, Hawaii, Nevada, New Mexico, San Jose State, UNLV, Wyoming. I mean, you have football teams in the Mountain West. And I think the biggest question that I have is, if you're the Pac-12, where do you go next? Where are you going to go? Because it's been very clear, and talking to some folks around college football yesterday, it's very clear that these two conferences are trying to stay out of the FCS. They are trying to avoid with for instance, Sacramento State. The Pac-12 is trying to avoid adding Sacramento State, I think, because it's such a big leap and there's not an immediate return on what would certainly be a Pac-12 investment. I think that makes perfect sense to try and stay out of that. But again, if you're Gloria Nevarez in the Mountain West, I think you're very clearly targeting the Conference USA and trying to, I'm told, still have conversations about a merger, bringing the two brands together. Does that help you? I think it certainly does. Does it put you over the top? Over the top of what is my question? Because again, when I look at G5 conferences, neither the Mountain West or the Pac-12 are even close to the AAC right now. And I think there's this belief amongst Pac-12 fan that the Pac-12 can still go and get Memphis and Tulane, and that's not happening right now. And I don't see a way that happens. I was talking to somebody in the AAC yesterday who we were talking about their grant of rights, because Pac-12 fan has been on every message board running their lips about how, well, you don't have a grant of rights. It is absolutely accurate that the AAC does not have a grant of rights. But what do they have? They have a large exit fee that at this point today is $25 million. So, and let's play the game with Memphis. Memphis has repeatedly said, well, we're not traveling our student athletes to the extent that they would have to travel to join the Pac-12. So it's not even the exit fee, but I am told that their charter, which I have not seen, but the charter in the AAC is pretty straightforward. It's not a grant of rights, only it acts as a grant of rights, because you have membership until 2031. You have a $25 million exit fee from that conference. I mean, it is a $1 billion TV deal with ESPN. What exactly are you leaving the Pac-12 to go and get? And I understand, Pac-12 fan, that you are passionate about your league, and I appreciate that. But if you're Memphis, who Pac-12 fans seem to have this irrational attraction to, if you're Memphis, why are you leaving the Pac-12? Or why are you leaving for the Pac-12? Why would you leave, again, a $1 billion TV deal? Let's not forget that. With ESPN, where you're making $7 million a year. Why would you leave that to go to the Pac-12, where you don't have a TV deal? You don't know what your money is going to be. You're going to have to spend a significant amount of money, more than you are spending now, on travel and infrastructure. It just doesn't make a lot of sense that teams in the AAC would leave for the Pac-12.
Yeah, I just don't know why you would incur the risk. I don't know why you would put yourself in a lesser position. And I think that's the primary issue for Pac-12 fan today, is that you feel like because you added Gonzaga that you're now in a way better spot. Like that you like elevated yourself, that you put yourself in a spot where it's like, oh, we're clearly better than the Mountain West or the AAC. Like we're the top dog. And I think that's unfounded. I think I don't agree with that. I think that you're heading the right direction, that adding Gonzaga was a win. But I would agree for teams in the AAC, it doesn't make sense to incur that risk. And so when you look at what's next for the Pac-12 and partially what's next for the Mountain West as well, I would say, you have a situation where at least in the Mountain West, you have what I would call reliable factors, right? Like, what the TV deal is, what your schedule would look like on some level. Like you understand, that this conference has been around and, seemingly will be around. They didn't, they've bounced back, right? They bounced back quickly, which I think is a very distinct difference than what the Pac-12 has had to go through here. If you look at the two situations. So if I'm on the East Coast, or if I'm, anybody in the AAC, I'm sitting here saying, man, like this move doesn't make sense. And, I know we've played the Dr. Ed Scott clip, multiple times, the AD from Memphis. We've played that clip multiple times this week, but I think that sentiment perfectly encompasses how an AAC team would view this situation.
Yes.
Because again, it's the way he described it was, hey, he called it a bad deal. He said, hey, this is a bad deal, or would have been a bad deal for Memphis athletics. It would have been a bad deal for our Olympic sports. It would have been a bad deal for basically everyone involved at Memphis, and that's why they didn't do it.
But let's play the cut, because I think what Dr. Ed Scott is saying here, the athletic director at Memphis, I think is what we've been saying for several weeks. The value proposition is not in place for a university like Memphis to leave the AAC for the Pac-12.
If y'all haven't seen the latest reports of what's going on between the Mountain West and the Pac-6, 7 right now, this is a fluid situation, right? So that's the other thing. When we talk about the decision that was made by the University of Memphis to not join the Pac, as I like to call them right now at this time, that was not a binary decision. That was not a no, we're not ever going anywhere. That was based on the offer that was presented in front of us, that we're not taking that offer because we don't think less of ourselves. And I came here for a reason. You heard me in the press conference. You've heard me in any interview I've done. I'm bullish on Memphis's future. And so I think sometimes we get enamored by the new and we want to take a bad deal. And that deal was not a good deal for the University of Memphis. It certainly wasn't a good deal for our athletic department. And most importantly, it was a really, really bad deal for our Olympic sports.
I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. And I think one of the other things that's at play here, and I want to make it clear, we asked Mr. Scott to come on the show. He declined to comment further on Memphis and Pac-12 expansion. So we don't get to ask him directly. But I've heard from so many people, and I mean, it must be a dozen people in the last week who have said to me, it's a bad look for the Pac-12 to be trying to essentially end other G5 conferences. And a lot of people are weary of doing business with the Pac-12 because it remains business as usual and business as it's always been in that conference. And I think the biggest question is, are you going to be able to go to another FBS conference and pull a member out of that conference when there's real questions about what you're offering? And I think the answer is no, you can't, not right now. And the biggest handicap or hurdle standing in the way of the Pac-12, I also think, is the perception that other universities and other conferences have of the way that the Pac-12 has gone about executing these moves with expansion. I think it is a horrendous look that you have gone after the Mountain West. I would also point out, not sure who the Pac-12 is going to play in football next year, because remember, that scheduling agreement did not go forward. So I'm told that while they are still working on expansion, that one of their main focuses is building a 2025 football schedule. But this has just been a bad look all around. So let me get this right. You tried to get everybody from the AAC. They said no. You took the biggest brands in the mountain, and now you've taken the singular biggest brand in the WCC. It's not the best look in the world. And oddly enough, you're bringing the G5 together against you in some levels. And I think the way that Gloria Nevarez has gone about handling her business, personally reaching out to other commissioners, saying, "Hey, I am gonna reach out to UTEP to have discussions with them. I just want you to know," instead of dropping bombs on people. I just think that from a relationship standpoint, which if you've listened to the show at all, you know how passionate I am about relationships. From a relationship standpoint, I believe the Mountain West is on the right side of the line here.
Yeah, and I think that there's this dynamic at play where hey, like, you know, we all got to stick together kind of mentality in the G5, right? Meaning like, hey, you know, if you're Gloria Nevarez and, you know, the rest of the G5 knows that you're going to have to add, and damn well knows that you're not adding from, you know, the power conferences, if you will. You're not going to go and poach a team from the Big 12, let's say, or whatever. They know that those calls need to be made. It's not lost on them. They're not stupid. So it's not a issue of, hey, like, we're going to lose a member out of our conference, so, you know, this stuff out west can take place. It's an issue of premise. It's an issue of how you go about doing your business. And
Yes.
It's an issue of, hey, the Pac-12 still somehow has this, you know, ability to just exude arrogance in the room. And you do that by, like you said, dropping bombs on people. You do that by doing this, you know, have a scheduling agreement. And it would appear, again, my opinion, it would appear to me at least, you had a scheduling agreement, you know, you didn't get what you wanted, so you went in and tried to destroy the Mountain West.
And then you sued them.
And now you're suing them. Like, that's not a great look.
And that's the thing that I've heard so much this week talking to people around college football is, and then you sued them. So let me get this right. You made the scheduling agreement. You signed a contract that included the poaching penalty. Then you poached, and then you sued them. Like, that's the thing that really stands out to me is you just don't have perspective. And the other thing that I think is so clear here is you're looking at a group of commissioners and universities in the G5 that already felt vulnerable because they were being pushed out of the college football playoff. They already had that syndrome of, well, Greg Sankey's trying to screw us.
Yeah.
They were already on the defensive there. So then Gloria Nevarez, and the way it's been explained to me and the way people view it is she offered an olive branch to the Pac-12 by saying, hey, how can we help you? How can we support you? And that's how you repaid them. I think that's the biggest issue that you're seeing right now is the reputation of the Pac-12 is kind of taking a beating. And I go back to Teresa Gould, the commissioner of the Pac-12. She is Larry Scott. She is George Kliavkoff. She is old guard Pac-12, and they are doing business the way they've always done business.
Back to the envelope calculations.
And I think that's hurting them. Now, having said that, Gonzaga's a huge ad. Gonzaga's a big win for the Pac-12. And if they do get St. Mary's, and they are talking to St. Mary's, as we told you 2 weeks ago, we had been told directly that Gonzaga and St. Mary's were thought to be going to the Pac-12 together. I don't know where, if they get St. Mary's, I don't think you can add GCU and St. Mary's to this conference.
Mm-hmm.
You have got to get a football member into this conference. Because again, what I point out is you look at this graphic and you look at what the conference looks like right now, and it's very heavy. It's very heavy on just okay brands. Like you look at Gonzaga. Gonzaga's doesn't play football. So on this graphic, I don't think there's any question. As I said, Boise's the best football brand. You need football brands. You need a football win, and you need a full share football win.
Right.
I think that much is very clear.
Well,
so
and I think whoever you would add to this mix is really important too, because again, a lot of people are talking about, hey, like regionality and like, you look at this mix and like the travel costs are pretty low. They're pretty in check, which is great.
Very
I mean,
regional.
that's
regional.
That's great for the Pac-12. And I think that that's a really smart play based on, again, even though I disagree with the lawsuit, based on the fact that you're suing the Mountain West and all the money that that's taking out of your resources, having this moving forward, this type of setup is really smart. And I also think when you look at targets or potential targets for the Pac-12, it would be based on this mix here. It would be odd to have, not that Memphis would join, but like a team out there, a Memphis or a Tulane, a team that way. It would not make sense for a team that way, just based on what you have already, to join this mix. So based on travel costs, based on the deal itself, all those AAC members are out of the picture. And I feel like if you're someone today saying, oh, well, they could just go get Tulane or they can go and get whoever out there, you're missing the point here. The point is that this conference is going to be regional. This conference is going to
has to be
like they can't afford to be, Berkeley to the East Coast. They can't afford that. That doesn't work in their plan.
In my opinion, if you are the Pac-12, here's with this group of teams, here's the problem that you have. Can you go and expand east of the Rocky Mountains? And the answer is, I don't know that you can. You've already, obviously, Colorado State is your enclave out east. But what do you do now to add a football brand to this conference that's not going to be a man on an island?
Well, and I think, who have we heard so much about? We've heard so much about NIU in these conversations. But the problem with that is obviously they're in the Midwest. I mean, you're past the Mississippi at that point.
Well, and I think that's why when you look at Air Force, which is in Colorado Springs, and you look at UTEP, which is in El Paso, Texas, obviously, you see where they're going. And you look at YO and you look at some of the geographic spread of this group of universities, it's easier in that footprint to expand east. And I think that's part of the problem. It is mental health is something that you're going to have to consider. And I don't think you should take it lightly that what are we hearing about with Gonzaga? Why was Gonzaga such a good fit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say, and you're going to hate it. Well, academically, they're a really good fit with our group of members, which is exactly what they said.
Facts.
So this bill of criteria that Pac-12 fan and everybody else doesn't want to hear plays a role in it. And I'm just really curious to see how this plays out. All right, less of us, more of you on the Monty Show. Let's get your comments in here this morning. I feel a little. I need more sleep. I'm averaging like 6 hours of sleep right now.
Yeah. But later in the show, we need to talk about like time, work life, show life balance. And
what is work life? I'm sorry, I thought you said balance.
Yeah, balance.
I'm not sure.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I'm not sure what that is. I mean, I know what Prize Picks is.
Duh.
Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy. You already know I won last night if I'm doing the arm pop. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy app in the business. Download the app right onto your phone. Now, you're not going to pimp such as in like myself with an iPhone 16 Pro.
Such as in like myself.
I mean, not everybody's able. Everybody ain't able.
Right.
And that includes you.
Right.
But I would like to point out that I did degenerate myself down to the WNBA last night. And I would also like to point out that my dear friend, Asia Wilson, absolutely came through. 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists last night was her number. She had 35. Thank you.
Okay.
That's a win. And then I would also just like to point out that my friend, my good, close, personal buddy and friend and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the Mets beat the hell out of the Brewers?
Yeah.
And my close personal friend and stuff such as in like Pete Alonso absolutely let me down last night taken an offer. I should have gone. I was torn between Severino, because I don't take two guys in the same game ever.
Right.
And I was between Pete Alonso and Luis Severino.
Right.
Severino last night was 4.5 strikeouts, and I was going to take less because the Brewers don't strike out all that much. He would have hit that, and because then I would have turned around and I would have hit that. But so I lost that one. But again, my friends, we play flex play, right? And when you have been suspended for taking things such as prohibited enhancers to your baseball performance,
Lidocaine and B12.
That's exactly why we take Fernando Tatis.
Yeah. Mr. Take him deep to left field.
3.5 hits, runs, and RBIs yesterday on a demon.
Yeah.
He had 4.
Did you see his home run yesterday?
Yes.
Dude, that was a moonshot.
Pimp's gonna pimp, man.
I mean, he's probably out on his motorcycle after the game.
Hello. I am trying to strut my win on Prize Picks.
No credit for the motorcycle Tatis bomb?
No, none. I was telling, I spread it around last night. WNBA and Major League Baseball, and it came through for me 2 or 3. The Demon helped me on a $20 flex play. That went 56.25.
Yeah.
Life is good. That's the best part about Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty. Open a new account with the promo code Monty. You deposit $5. They'll give you 50 more. It's the best daily fantasy promotion I've ever seen.
Yes.
It's why Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy app in the business. Hook it up right now. Download the app. Use the promo code Monty to get a matching deposit. Well, as always, I guess I should say, Calford gives us 5 Monty Show memberships.
Go, Calford. By the way, Calford's been on a heater with Prize Picks. He's a big Prize Picks guy.
Love it. Absolutely love it. How about Sparsh? A member for 5 months. Thank you, Sparsh. Mountain West Conference did to the WAC is what the Pac is doing to the Mountain West. So, and he's talking about how the Mountain West was formed.
Right.
But that was such a different time ago. And you weren't the perception that's been explained to me about the Pac-12 is that you think you're better than the rest of the G5 because you're the Pac-12. And I think that is exactly.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
I think that's the perception of the Pac-12, that they're walking around like, hey, we're the Pac-12. Of course you want to leave the AAC.
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellent.
What are you even talking about?
Yeah.
Who cares if we don't have a TV deal and we have no idea how much money you're going to make? We're the Pac-12.
Yeah, duh. I mean, obviously.
Hello.
Come on.
That's what the perception is.
Yeah.
And I think it's a real problem. But Sparsh, you're not wrong. The Mountain West was formed out of violence. But I think it was just such a different time.
Yeah.
Right? I think it was such a different time than it is now. All right, let's go back to the top because we need to pay homage to Mike's Mountain Mama.
Who knew?
Mama. Yes! Hit the like button, support the show. Thank you, Mike. Always good to see you.
By the way, the membership train is on a heater right now.
It is.
Have our all-time record for total members on the show.
Organic members. We have never. So there's a difference when somebody like Calford gifts a membership. That's different than what an organic, a grass-fed, free range membership and stuff.
Right.
Where somebody just hits the join button. We have surpassed the 500 organic member number, which, and I know you guys are going to be like, who are you, the Pac-12? That puts us in.
Stay hard.
That puts us in the 1% on YouTube.
Yeah.
500 organic members is 1% on YouTube, which is, again, the way you guys support this show, I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, it's
and
sensational.
It is sensational. It's very humbling. I understand that we don't always agree on topics, but you guys have just supported this show for going on 10 years, some of you now, which is wild. We've been doing this for 10 years,
bro.
Can you guys believe that? We've been doing the Monty Show for 10 years. in our old townhouse way up when we were doing it in our house in Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah.
It's wild.
On an iPad.
Zag says, good morning, Aztec undergrad, Gonzaga postgrad. Don't you mean Gonzaga postgrad?
Yeah, I mean, did you get the pro rata you deserve there?
Do you guys remember
Gonzaga?
back in the day when Jake was calling it Gonzaga?
I like Gonzaga.
And I cannot remember her name, but we had a Gonzaga alumni come in and be like,
Gonzaga.
I didn't pay all that money for you to disrespect our brand, bro. Like, do you guys remember that? Like, lost her mind on the show.
Don't talk crap about my team.
It's Gonzaga, and you'll call it Gonzaga. I paid a lot of money.
Stop disrespecting me, bro.
Chill.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, let's see how this Pac thing plays out. It's ride or die now. It really is, Glenn. You're in a great spot at San Diego State. I think San Diego State is a great university. I have a lot of friends of mine that are alumni. They need to win football games because the university is doing everything it can do from an administration level to support athletics, specifically football, and you're not winning games. And it's high time that San Diego Gonzaga.
Right.
It's time that San Diego State wins games. Truly. Mr. Preston, hello. Good to see you, bro. Daniel Dixon, what school is next in the Pac-12? It's a great question. I think it's a really smart move to add St. Mary's. Great basketball program. Goes well with Gonzaga. Now, it is a religious institution. St. Mary's is. I believe it's a Catholic school. We used to play basketball in their gym back in the day when we were at the great KMBR 680.
The sports leader.
We played a lot of, you played baseball there in high school.
Yeah.
Played baseball there, played basketball in their gym. Great university, great group of folks, small. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Very interesting. Phil Venzer. Hello. How are you, Phil? Good to see you. Grad Slacker. No one is leaving the Big East to join the Pac-12. Nobody is doing that. Nobody is doing that. Mick Stevens. Hello, Mick. Good to see you. All hat and cattle. Nice hat, dude. Grand Canyon to the Pac. I'd love to see it. I love our guys. We have a lot of friends and relationships at GCU, but
St. Mary's is a better choice, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. Wasikowski, the Bears are in last place again, Marty. Does it matter? We are not supposed to be a playoff team. Now, somebody forgot to tell Eber sucks this, but this is all about developing Caleb Williams. I had no delusions of grandeur with this team. And we're going to talk about Devontae Adams coming up here in 26 minutes. Is Devontae Adams a target for the Chicago Bears?
The Bears.
That would be interesting. Steve Stepanek. Hope you're doing well, Steve. Why would teams join the Pac without a guarantee of in the playoffs for football? That's a tough question. That's very difficult. And I think one of the biggest questions is what's the TV deal going to be?
Right. And I think that comes first before, hey, guaranteed playoff spots.
Without question. Because what good's a playoff spot if you're not on TV? And again, you guys don't give a crap who I talk to, but I talked to somebody very close to the college football playoff yesterday, and there's just not a chance that the Pac-12 builds a brand that gets their own AQ.
Yeah.
And Pac-12 fan in my mentions on the old tweet machine and YouTube, you're not in a position to get your own automatic qualifier. Gonzaga does not do that for you.
No.
So, and donuts. The next domino will fall. It'll be huge, probably. I don't know that there's a small domino. And that's why the Texas State statement yesterday, again, almost a tip of the cap to Gloria Nevarez saying, hey, we were in conversations with a conference. It just didn't work out. Not doing what Ed Scott at Memphis did, which is the Pac 6 or 7 or whatever the hell they're calling themselves these days. Like, I thought that statement, Memphis athletic director, Dr. Ed Scott, saying, well, the Pac 6 or 7 or whatever they are, that was a slap in the face.
Yep.
That was a moment of disrespect. Big Blue Horses. I don't know why I'm saying names like that today. Honestly, G5 expansion is exhausting. But what does it say about Yormark not being able to close the Gonzaga deal? Well, I don't. This has been hotly contested as well, because I think there is no question that we told you 2 years ago that Gonzaga had an invitation to join the Big 12. They had an invitation to join the old Pac-12, and they never took it. And the question always had been, well, why didn't they take it? And what have we been reporting now for 3 weeks? Gonzaga and the Big 12 had further conversations. Gonzaga didn't want to join. And why didn't they want to join? Because Gonzaga wants a smooth, easy path to the NCAA tournament. The WCC affords them that. The Pac-12 affords them that. The Big 12 does not. The old Pac-12 did not. And I think that when you look at what Gonzaga did by joining the Pac-12, I think they have secured that easy, smooth path and that easy road. Because again, I ask you, who here on this graphic, friends, who here is going to give them any kind of difficulty at all getting into the NCAA tournament? There's one, and it is San Diego State.
Right.
That's it. But we can sit here and we can use conjecture and wonder. And Gonzaga didn't join a power conference because I think they know that it's very difficult to compete at the top of the premier basketball conference in the country, which is the Big 12 right now. How are you going to the NCAA tournament if you're Gonzaga, a small school in Spokane, Washington, that at times has not always been the most talented team, even in the WCC? You're not going to be able to recruit against Houston. You're not going to be able to recruit. You look at BYU. Look at BYU's basketball program right now, on the rise. You look at the ladies program, because I think that's something that people are underselling at Gonzaga. The ladies basketball program at Gonzaga is not exactly mincemeat. That's a good program. Yeah, but then you have Utah, which is turning into a power women's basketball program.
I just think, look, I think from an economic standpoint for Gonzaga, you had it so good in the current position you were in.
The WCC.
Yeah, but like the WCC isn't going to challenge you, right? Like you were sitting on top of that thing every single year, and all Mark Few had to do was just get the best out of his players, and you guys were in the tournament. So like, for Gonzaga's purposes, I don't, in my opinion, I think it's harsh to say that Brett Yormark didn't close the deal. I think that Brett Yormark in the Gonzaga conversation was suffering from success because his conference is so damn good in basketball.
100%.
That Gonzaga was like, well, we're sitting here at the top of the WCC, and we don't really want to change that dynamic at our institution. So we love you, Brett, and you're doing an amazing job in the conference. Love the TV deal. Everything's awesome, but it doesn't make sense for us to make it harder to get to the tournament. And so that's why you went to the Pac-12. But I have to say, it does still surprise me that Gonzaga chose to join a situation that does not have a guaranteed TV deal. And hey, maybe
I agree.
The defenders of the Pac-12 and the defenders of this move are going to say, well, you guys maybe just don't know about the TV deal. What if they do have a handshake deal? What if they have? Okay, maybe they have that. But I'm just telling you, if you're Gonzaga, you had it really good in your current situation, really good. And to join a situation that's fluid, that is anything but guaranteed.
A lot of unknowns. Like
I still am a little surprised.
Yep, I agree. One sidestep here, because I get this question every day. Where can you get audio only of the Monty Show? It used to be on TuneIn. We used to be everywhere. We don't produce an audio podcast anymore because all of our attention is focused on YouTube. And the only place you can get our show is Twitter and YouTube. You can get it on Facebook. You can get some highlights here and there. But the only place you can get the full version of our show and comment and be a member of our community is YouTube. And that's why we don't produce an audio podcast anymore. Spotify's really frustrating. That close with Spotify, and just couldn't get over the line with Spotify, and we just our revenue stream is on YouTube. So producing an audio podcast, I'll be honest with you, it's not difficult. It quite literally is isolating an audio track and uploading it. But it does not, in our current form, yield us revenue, which is why we didn't do it, which is why we stopped doing it, because we want you to come to YouTube. Steve Stepanek, could the Pac-12 or Mountain West get teams from Canada? No, they cannot, because the NCAA does not, I don't believe, have membership in Canada. Thomas Reed, Utah Tech is a rising program. I will continue to agree with that. I would agree with that 100%. Thomas Reed also says Idaho won't make that jump again. It's really arduous to make a jump from FCS up to FBS. Like the Pac-12, the Mountain West, they're in FBS, football bowl, right? Football championship is FCS. It's expensive. It's $5 million at a minimum. Just you're cutting a check for $5 million. And then you have to upgrade just about everything across the board in athletics. And it's really, it's a $50 million move. And I talked to somebody in Sacramento yesterday who was telling me Sac State has the money in an escrow account waiting for an invitation to up themselves to an FBS program and an FBS athletic department. They will not do football only. So that's a perfect example. Sac State has put aside the money to make that leap up to FBS. So it's expensive. It's not easy. I'm telling you, it is not easy. G.I. Jacob, hello. Appreciate your service. I think that's you in a military uniform. The Pac-12 Diddy party. Is it too soon? Is it? I think it might be too
soon. Did the Pac-12 go to Costco, get their pallet of baby oil, and roll up to the Mountain West's house?
Hey, it's George Klyavkov over here at the Pac-12. They fired you, George. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Just forget that happened. Could you deliver a pallet of baby oil to the presidential suite at the Aria in Las Vegas, please?
Dilly. Okay,
thanks. Put it on the Pac-12 account. Thanks. All right. Right. We'll be going after Cal Poly, Sac State, UC Davis, and Texas State. They don't have the war chest to do that. They don't. Austin Hoover. Hello. North Dakota, South Dakota do not want to go to the MAC. This is an interesting question. How much appetite do North Dakota and South Dakota State have to give up their supremacy? Because they're kicking ass. They're winning national championships. And they're getting really good football players. There's a real question if North Dakota and South Dakota State want to jump up. I don't know that they do.
Yeah, I mean they're highly successful. Again, it's the same idea as what Gonzaga was dealing with.
And I go back to and I look at the groups. I look at FCS teams. I don't like you. Just Big Sky. Who in the Big Sky would even be a possibility? Obviously, Sac State, Idaho, maybe. UC Davis is a research institution. They don't give a rat's ass about playing football. They happen to play football. That's cool. They're not going to do that. But you start looking around, you're the Missouri Valley.
Bless you, sir.
That came out of nowhere. Excuse me. North Dakota State. I mean, I assume they could, but would you? Why would you? You have a really good thing going with South Dakota State. Why would you? Southern Illinois, why would you? You're competing at a very high level in that conference. You're competing for FCS national championships. You don't have the stadium size, right? So why are you bumping up? Why are you putting in $50 million for something that is unknown in the Pac-12? Or the Mountain West to a lesser extent, because you know what you're getting into there. But why? What is and I would love you in the comment section to make the argument. Like you look at North Dakota State having a great season again. They're 4-1. Why on any level would they want to bump up? They're playing in the Fargo Dome holds what? 18,000 fans. That's not an FBS arena. or stadium. You're not. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of sense, guys. It is so much money. So I just ask, why would you want to bump up? Because we all sitting here assume, well, you want to go to the college football playoff. Do you? Do you even?
Yeah.
I don't know that you do.
A lot of money, bro.
I don't even know that you do. Hidden Hawaiian, sack on pack.
Wow, that is just really original content, dude. I mean, that is truly just revolutionizing the industry.
You know, Jay Chapman. Montana has a badass stadium. They do. But that's the thing, you guys. All of these universities, smaller universities, Montana, Idaho, look at Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
Laramie's a great place to have a home field advantage. We've seen that play out repeatedly. Do you have an appetite to go play for a national championship? You're probably not willing to spend what it takes at YO or South Dakota, North Dakota.
Right.
I know I'm crazy, but it just is what it is. Chattanooga to the Pac-12. I think that's exactly right.
I want it.
That's right. Sparsh says Gonzaga literally is about to 3 to 5 times revenue. Worst case because they are not paid that well compared to a full payout in an FBS conference to join the Pac. Okay, so let's talk about it, right? We did this with Gonzaga. I want to get the number again because I don't want to misstate it. What do you guys think? What do you think their athletic revenue is? Like if you just put in your head, what do you think they make on a yearly basis?
30, 50.
What do you think their basketball program makes?
The basketball program, probably 20 to 30 mil, I would guess. I mean, they do a lot of different things. I don't know.
I don't think I wouldn't get that right. By reaching the Elite Eight this season, 2023, Gonzaga earned 4 units valued at over $8 million. Okay. St. Mary's brought in 2 units for advancing to the second round. The WCC made $12 million on those 2 programs. So you brought in $8 million. That doesn't mean that you got $8 million, right? So when you look at the numbers that we're talking about, Gonzaga is not making $100 million a year in athletics. So I would agree that just bumping up to a power conference makes it a lot more palatable, because you look at Gonzaga, their disbursement was $5 million last year. So if they bump up and let's say they get $10 million, they're going to get a full share, right?
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.